So let's go over arranging objects within Illustrator. So if I come over here to the layers panel, you'll see that I have two layers. I have the exercise template, and then I have our drawing area, which is everything that I've been working on. So within each layer, all of the objects, they have a stacking order, and it goes by the last object that was created. So for instance, if I create, let's say, another shape, you can see that with each new shape I make, it is going on top in the stacking order. Knowing that, I need to know how I can modify that stacking order and get some customization with the arrangement. So we're going to learn how to do that right now. There's basic methods for arranging things. The first one is using the keyboard commands. So we're going to use our command and bracket keys. And then the other one is just using the right-click menu to move things from the front to the back. So let's go over this first one with the right-click arrangement. So what I want to do right here is I want this back small circle to be all the way in the front, and I want this larger circle here to be all the way in the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this big circle, and what I could do is I could come in here, hold down the command key, and then I could start moving it backwards by hitting the bracket keys. Okay, but I know I want this one to go all the way to the back. So once you know that you have a background shape, then I can just right click, or I can do a control click with my mouse. This brings up this cool option menu that we'll be accessing a lot. I'm going to go down here to where it says arrange, and then I'm going to go to send to back. And there you can see it sent it all the way back in the stacking order. I'll do the same thing for this shape over here, but I'll do the inverse. So I'll do right click or command click. I'll go down to arrange, and this time I will bring this all the way to the front. So now we kind of need to start arranging the rest of these shapes so that it kind of cascades from this shape being on the top and then this shape being all the way at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and click on this shape here. I'll hold down on the command key, and then I'll hit the left bracket to start moving this backwards in space. I'll do the same thing for this other one. I'll click on that shape, hold down on the command key, and move that backwards. If I go backwards too much, you can see that now it's going behind that last shape. If I want to, I'm still holding down on the command key, I can bring it forward by hitting the right bracket tool. Just make sure when you use this tool that you kind of know where you are in your layers, because sometimes you might have hundreds, if not thousands, of objects within one layer, and so using this method can be kind of tedious. So just pay attention to that. So the next thing we want to go over is grouping objects together. So making objects kind of click and read as though they are one object. So anytime you group an object, it kind of goes into a hierarchy, and there can be multiple groups. So we'll kind of go over that briefly. If I need to group two objects, what I need to do is select the first object and then shift select the second object. I can also do a marquee selection, and then I'm going to hit Command and G. Okay, and so now when I click just one of those objects, it automatically puts that bounding box around both of those. So this is now a group, and so that means if I start to modify this, they almost act as though they are one object. I'll go ahead and do Command Z. Let's group some other parts of this. I'm going to group this sphere, so I'm going to group the dark side, and I'll hold down on the Shift key, and I'll find the light side of this sphere too, and click that. And then I'll do Command G, and now you can see that this is all one group. I'll do Command Z to put that back into its original place. And now this ring around Saturn, I want to actually add that to this group here. So I'm going to select that ring and then select the sphere group we just created, and I will hit Command and G. And so now this is all one big group. I'll go ahead and combine this group with this original group that we made. So we'll select that group, hold Shift, select the other group, and then do Command and G. So now this all acts as one group. Now let's say I need to get in here and start to modify things with this particular set of objects. It's going to be kind of hard to do that when they're all in one group. There's a couple ways we can get around that. One way is to use the white arrow tool. So if I hit the A key for the white arrow tool, and I come over and I click inside of this red circle, you can see it just selects the red circle. If I then hit the V key for the black arrow, now I can individually move this around. I can also size this, do whatever I need to do. But it's good to know the other more official way of modifying groups within groups. I'll go ahead and select that group again, and then I'm going to, in this case, I want to modify this orange shape. I'm going to double click on that orange shape. So we are now in a different mode here in Illustrator. We're in what's called the isolation mode. And you can see this by looking right up here near your rulers. We have our drawing area, and then you can see that it's now telling us we're inside of a group. So if I click on this, you can still see that these are grouped together, but now it has separated this from this other group. So it's like we have two groups that we're working with again. If I want to get inside here and just modify this orange circle, I can double click again, and now you can see it ungrouped or allowed me to go inside of that group, and now I can modify those individual shapes. If I want to, I can come up here and I can go back to this original group, and then if I click one more time on this drawing area, I can even go back to this group. Let's go ahead and try that again. I want to modify maybe the ring. So I'm going to double click on the ring. Okay, I can still see it's part of a group. So I'll double click again. Okay, and now you can see I've just selected the ring. I'll hit Command Z a couple times to move that back into place. And if I want to get out completely and I don't want to go through this cascade of groups, I can just hit the Escape key. That's the default for getting out of isolation mode. So one more time, double click. Now I'm in isolation mode, double click again. Okay, I'm moving farther and farther into my groups. Now I can begin to modify, and when I'm done, I can hit the Escape key, and we are back to where we started. Let's say I have started working in groups, but then decided that, you know what, I don't want these to be groups. That's where we ungroup the objects. So if I select these, and I hit Command, Shift, and G, I will start to break up the groups to what they were originally. I can also find that in here, Object and Ungroup. And now you can see it's basically going back in history, and it's looking for the original groups we made and ungrouping those. So that is a rundown on how you group and ungroup objects